Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Laris Macaria. Welcome to Children of Dionysus. I am an award-winning actor, producer, and an online Shakespeare coach. And today I wanted to talk about presence, specifically with one of my clients that I've had. Her and I have been working together for, I would say, a little over a year now. We've been working on Othello this whole time, specifically the role of Amelia. And she has a habit of doing something that I've seen in a lot of actors, and I've struggled with myself, right? Specifically when it comes to Shakespeare, there is this idea that you just sort of have to declaim everything and be bigger than life and just sort of yell the text to people, and somehow that's how you're going to reach people. That's how you're going to reach the audience. That's how you're going to get your emotions out. And it's an idea that I've seen over and over and over again, and the idea is wrong. But I can understand where it comes from because we've seen so much of it in performance. We've seen so much of it in films when it comes to Shakespeare, and then we have this idea about what it is. Shakespeare, yes, requires heightened language. It does require size. You're playing kings and queens, lords and ladies, people of a higher stature. We in America don't necessarily understand the stratification of the socioeconomic sort of system in the same way that the Europeans do, which I think often is why a lot of American actors tend to go into this big thing, because I don't really see it with the British actors. They seem to be much more relaxed in it. Now, they've been pickled in this for 1,000 years, a millennia, or whatever it is. Definitely since Shakespeare's been around, but the poetic notion of language and also the stratification of the society, this is just a part of their culture in general. Going back to the Americans, they've seen this in a lot of American actors, and definitely when I started acting in Shakespeare, this is what I would do. Um, this actress is, like I said, very smart, very talented, very interesting, and belongs to a Mediterranean culture like myself, right? I'm Hispanic. She's got some Hispanic blood and other things as well, and there can be in that culture sort of an element of pushing out. Here I am speaking, which adds on top of what already the American actors are doing in terms of sort of pushing out the work and pushing out the text. The text works in such a way that if you just trust it and ride the wave, it will take you to where you need to go. It very much mimics nature in that way. I live in front of a park here in the city in New York, and I walk around almost daily, and I'm just, the weather's broken now. It's May, so the flowers have bloomed, and the squirrels are out, and birds are chirping and stuff like that, and the bees are pollinating flowers and stuff like that. Like it's really good. It's really, really buzzing. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you think about nature, it just sort of does what it does, right? You don't need to push it. It just, the flowers bloom of their own accord. The bees make honey. They pollinate the flowers. The squirrels hunt for nuts and stuff. The birds build the nests. It just does it. There's an element of trust that all of this whole thing, this intelligent design, is just going to work. Shakespeare's no different. Great art is no different. If you really trust it, we just know that it's going to come out of us the way it's meant to. However, with this specific particular actress and with some of my other clients, there is a tendency to yell the text. There's a tendency to push the text, because what we've worked out is there's a lack of trust in herself, and there's a lack of trust that she can do the work, and there's a lack of trust that Shakespeare's going to have her back. That Amelia is just going to come out of her naturally, which she does. These characters exist because they exist in all of us. There's a Richard III in all of us. There's an Iago in all of us. There's a Hamlet. There's an Othello. There's a Cleopatra in all of us. A Mark Antony. There's a Julius Caesar. These elements, these universal characters, they're bigger than life, right? They're bigger than any of the actors that ever play them, because they represent the entire gamut of the human spectrum, right? All of humanity. And this is something that I stress to all of my students: is you can already play her. We just have to get your ego and you out of the way of it, and she will come through you. The way that I work through with actors, definitely, is very much an organic thing. I really do believe that the seeds, the great oak tree is embedded within the acorn. The acorn doesn't have to be told how to become an oak tree. It just does it of its own accord because it's written into its genetic code. If you're an actor, you can do this stuff. You already have the capacity to do it. If we're working on a monologue by Amelia, it's because you can already play Amelia. She already exists inside of you. We have to get things out of the way of it and sort of cultivate that part of you. Anyway, the point being is she had this tendency to push. Other actors have had the tendency to push. And the way that we solved the problem was, there's this exercise that we do is Breath is life, right? It helps ground you. It helps connect you to your body. It helps connect you to yourself, and it brings you into the present. I took it line by line, and if you ever look at Shakespeare, iambic blank verse, it's actually it's split up line by line. It's different than prose. Prose is kind of like what you would read in a novel, what you would read in a lot of scripts. You know, if you have a large monologue, it kind of blends one into the other. A blank verse actually kind of splits the line up. It's all meant to be continuous, but it's split line by line, and there's a meter, iambic pentameter in the line. I'm not going to get into it now, but we split the line. We go at it line by line, and what I have her do is I have her breathe before each line. So she takes a breath in. She speaks a line of text. Takes another breath in. Speaks a line of text. I don't worry about acting. I don't worry about her getting the music right. I don't worry about her doing anything, putting anything on it. I just prompt her to allow herself to be moved by the words on the page, whatever that means to her. I really caution against trying to tell an actor what they're supposed to feel. There sometimes is a tendency when you know about the story and what's going on in the story, say, this is actually what's going on, X, Y, and Z. But I really try to work with the actors and say, okay, what's coming up for you? When you're working on a piece of text, your intuition already knows what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, you're already probably drawn to it, and you've lived an emotional life. By the time we're 5 years old, we've felt every emotion we can possibly feel. And then we just continue to repeat certain emotions over and over in our lives. But we have the capacity to feel them all. We have the capacity to understand all human conditions. They exist in us all. I have her go line by line. And then I have her go every other line. And then I have her go every third line, right? So, meaning she's breathing before every line, then breathing before every second line, then breathing before every third line. This does a couple of things. One, it relaxes her. It lets her body know, her parasympathetic nervous system, that she's okay, she's safe, that this is a normal thing for her to do. These words are hers, and she's allowed to say them. When it extends to 2 or 3 lines, what it's doing is building the breath capacity for her, right? So she's accustomed to breathing and having enough breath support to get her through the end of the line. And it's also conditioning her to link breathing with speech, but always relaxed. And what it does is the breath is going to push her through the text. It's going to get her to the end of the line, to the end of the thought, to the end of the speech. She has her body, she has her voice, she has her breath to push her through. And I wouldn't say push isn't even the right word. What I would say is support. She's supported. She's supported. So subconsciously it starts to build the habit that she's supported. And if she's supported, she doesn't need to yell. She doesn't need to put too much on it. She doesn't need to get in her head. She just says the words, and the words will start to move through her. I think a lot of actors don't do this because it means that you're not in control necessarily. You're doing the thing, you're speaking the words, you're acting the scene or the soliloquy or the speech, but you're not acting it. There's another part of you that is engaged. I would say it's the part of you that flows. It's like when you're writing something and you just keep writing, you're in the flow, and before you know it, 45 minutes has gone by, like, whoa, where'd the time go? Or when you're painting or you're drawing or something like that, you're just in the flow of whatever's happening, right? And acting is the same way. I think it was Laurence Olivier spoke about when he played Richard III. They said one of probably his greatest performance, he went out there, he did it for whatever reason. He was completely immersed in what was happening. He was so immersed that he blacked out. He actually didn't come to until the 3-hour play was over later. And people came in after and they're like, that was the greatest thing you have ever done. And he couldn't remember it. Like, he couldn't recall what he had done. And I think he couldn't recall what he had done because he tapped into something greater than himself. He got out of the way of the text, and so the text can move through him. And so if you're struggling to maybe push, if you're putting too much energy into something where it may not necessarily be appropriate, do this exercise. I want you to just plant your feet, right, on the ground, hip width apart, and I just want you to breathe before every line, and you're just going to speak it. Easy. You don't have to put anything on it. And then you want to extend it, breathe every other line. and then breathe every third line. And you'll watch that kind of breath, it might make you lightheaded. Um, it might make you a little woozy, kind of drunk a little bit. That has happened. But you're going to be a lot more present. You're going to be a lot easier. You're going to have more resonance in your voice. And you're going to be much more communicative. You're going to connect to the work much more easily. And this works with film and television stuff as well. Modern stuff as well. Like I've said before, is Shakespeare is the foundation for all of modern acting. And when you take the techniques necessary to be able to do his work well, to have that music move through you, translatable completely to film and television work. And it's 10% of what you would have to do in Shakespeare, because Shakespeare requires so much of your instrument, so much of you to really fill up the work. I hope this is helpful. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. My name is Laris Macario. I am an online Shakespeare coach. If you want to be the best actor in every room you step into, Shakespeare is the way to go. I can definitely help you out with that. If you're curious about it, if this is one of the platforms, hit me up in the DMs, comment below, or go to childrenofdionysus.com. Childrenofdionysus.com. Reach out. We'll hop on a call, and I'll help you get to the next level of your career. All right? I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.